Hi guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. So this next clip is a probable cause hearing. So it's not the trial or anything. He says very little, if anything. I don't even know if he says anything, but it's just crazy what happens inside of a prison and how hard that job is inside of a prison. So we're gonna get a sneak peek of, I guess, a normal day for a prison officer inside of a prison. Here we go.
All right, Mr. Davis, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm Judge Myers. This is Magistrate Court for Dawson County. We're going to be conducting a preliminary hearing today, or a commitment hearing. We're just going to dive into the evidence, make sure there's enough probable cause to proceed towards trial, okay? Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir.
Good. Perfect. Statement called.
Thank you, Judge. We can call Sergeant Jonathan Mahan to stand, please. Raise your right hand for me. You swear from the testimony about to give this matter truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You have a seat. Introduce yourself to the court, please, sir.
I am Sergeant Jonathan Mahan. I've been with Dawson County since April of 2021. I've been a sergeant since March of 22.
All right, are you post certified? Can you swear warrants?
Yes, sir.
Did you swear out the warrants in this case against Mr. Davis, 2024 MW 1173, charging him with misdemeanor obstruction?
Yes, sir.
Did you swear out warrant 24 MW 1174, charging him with another count of misdemeanor obstruction?
Yes, sir.
Did you swear out 24 MW 1175, charging him with a third count of misdemeanor obstruction?
Yes, sir.
Were you the officer who swore out 24 MW 1176, charging him with felony obstruction?
Yes, sir.
Did you charge him with simple battery of a peace officer?
Yes, sir.
In possession of alcohol by an inmate?
Yes, sir.
Did you charge him in 24 MW 1179 with removal or attempted removal of a weapon from a public safety officer?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell us what happened here, Sergeant. How did he end up with these charges?
So our shift began as normal. Really nothing out of the ordinary happened. Throughout the night, actually closer to about 2:30 when this incident took place, there were two officers on my shift that said that Mr. Davis and our other runner at the time, Mr. Allen, were acting, they appeared drunk to them. I had talked to him earlier in the night. I didn't think that he did. Our interaction was fairly short, though. It was a short conversation. And he actually spoke to me about being upset for being accused of being under the influence, or being questioned about being under the influence, because someone asked him if he was drunk. So depending on the night, it depends what time they go up for the night once their time's done. And Officer Blankenship was taking them back to, I believe they were in G-Pod at the time. And he said that they definitely seemed like they were under the influence, and he wanted to know what I wanted to do. If someone's telling me that an inmate's under the influence, that's a concern.
Right.
And being that there was two of them, my plan at the time was to separate them and put them in medical cells so they could be checked out by the nurse.
Now, a couple of things before we keep going. Were both of the inmates, they were in y'all's custody when the day began?
Yes, sir.
And you said that Mr. Davis was a runaround. What's a runaround?
So during the nighttime, they're responsible for cleaning anything up, maintaining the hallways, sanitizing mattresses, shoes, doing laundry, stocking supplies.
Okay. Is that typically a position where you trust the inmate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, do they typically have access to alcohol in your jail?
You're not supposed to, no, sir.
Okay. All right. So we're back in medical. Did you go down to medical to see them?
Yes, sir.
All right. What happened then?
I believe I spoke to Mr. Davis first, and I asked him, "Hey, man, you know what's going on? You know, this is the third time tonight that someone said something about you being, drunk, or like something was off. What's going on? Are you drunk?" I bluntly asked him if he was drunk. He said, I wish each time I brought it up. And since everyone kept saying, hey, they seem like they're drunk, when I went back to talk to both of them, I brought the PBT in order to see if they would give me a breath sample. I ended up going through, I think I got to the third straw for the PBT before I was able to get at least a partial sample. I think it was a 0.127 when he blew on a partial.
So he tested positive for alcohol?
On the PBT, yes, sir.
I'm assuming y'all talked about that.
We did.
What'd he say?
He said, I wish again. And then I told him that I'd be right back because I needed to go talk to Mr. Allen. I had to go get more straws. I didn't think I was going to need more than 3 straws. And I had gone back to booking to collect some more straws. I came back and was talking to Mr. Allen, and that's when the event started to unfold.
Okay. So was your conversation interrupted with Mr. Allen?
Yes, sir.
How was it interrupted?
We heard someone, I won't say beating on the door, but someone was knocking on the door in the cell next to us pretty loud. And that was Mr. Davis.
All right. So did you go tend to him?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did anything happen?
Yes, sir.
What happened?
So there is it's kind of like an airlock. There's 2 doors to get to the cells that they were in. The first one had been cracked because we were in the area still. So I opened Med 11 and I was talking to him in Med 12. Initially he looked kind of angry. I was like, what's going on, man? Let's just talk. And he seemed to calm down a little bit. Then I had Med 12 opened the door, stepped in. And at that point, even when I had him blow the PBT, he was heavily intoxicated. He seemed upset when I opened Med 12 and said, calm down, it's okay, you just have a seat. I'll be right back, we'll talk about it. I think it was my left hand. I put my left hand on his shoulder. I was just, kind of guiding him back to the bed. Just sit down, I'll be back, we'll talk about it. I believe the point where he would have been able to sit down on the bed, that's when he started pushing me backwards towards the shower area of the cell.
Okay, so the shower area. Did you tell him to stop?
No, sir.
Okay. So what happened after he started pushing you?
He started pushing me pretty fast, and I knew I didn't want to get pinned against the wall, so I stepped to my left, and then we ended up, I believe I pushed him and I into the cell door. I knew, like I said, I didn't want to get pinned against a wall. And then within a second or two of us hitting the door, he was able to flip me back on my back where I hit my head on the concrete floor.
Did you maintain consciousness?
Consciousness, yes, but I couldn't see. I got a big bright flash, and that's all I could see while he was on top of me.
How long was he on top of you?
It could have been maybe 30, 45 seconds. I know our control system froze, so they were unable to get in through the door to me. But I knew he was on top of me, and I felt his right arm in this area around my neck and my left shoulder. And like I said, I couldn't see, so that's when I started punching him in the head. Did he know, sir?
Did you stay on top of him?
Yes, sir. I had control of his leg, so he couldn't move. I had him pinned. I was trying to keep him pinned close to me, so he couldn't get to anything on my belt, so he couldn't do anything additionally to me. When Officer Bailey was able to get through the door, he was able to get him off of me. He continued to try and pull away and continued to resist. And I ended up drawing my taser and attempting to tase him, which I believe was a disconnect. I didn't get full contact. And I attempted to follow up with the drive stun in order to get the neuromuscular incapacitation, but I was unable to because I just couldn't get close to him. And by then we had turned completely around, positional wise in the room, which is when he grabbed a hold of my taser.
Okay. Did he was he able to get it from your person?
He was not. He had a firm grip on it though, and I had to get a good grip on it, and I elbowed his arm in order to break his grip, and then I threw the taser out of the cell.
All right. Now you said that it was Officer Bailey that came in.
Initially, yes, sir.
And was he trying to get Mr. Davis to comply?
Yes, sir.
Was he cooperating with Officer Bailey?
No, sir.
Did he pull away from him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So he tries to get the taser. You've got the taser. What happens next?
When I got the taser out of his hands, I threw the taser out of the cell. And then we still kind of moved around on our feet a little bit. And then we were able to, Officer Bailey and I were able to get him on the ground. He continued to not give us his hands, despite being told to give us his hands. And then I believe Officer Mullen was next into the room. And she came in and assisted with us getting his hands behind his back, and we were able to get him in handcuffs at that time.
Okay. Did he fight with Officer Mullen? I mean, did she tell him to stop and he immediately stopped?
He did not stop, no, sir.
How difficult was it for her to have him handcuffed?
She more or less helped keep his waist to the ground while Officer Bailey and I were able to get his arms behind his back.
Okay. Now, what about Officer Blankenship?
He came in last to bring in the wrap device to assist in putting him in the wrap.
Now, how did that go?
By the time he was in handcuffs, he was compliant.
All right. Okay, so in your warrant, you said that Officer Blankenship was assisting Mullen and Bailey. How did he resist at any point? I'm trying to figure out what the probable cause. I understand the other ones. I don't understand Blankenship is what I'm asking.
I don't believe I was in the room anymore at that time. From what I understood, though, is that he was still kind of wiggling around a little bit is the only way I could say it. But that's something I could have misunderstood on that one.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Do you know whether they had to force him in the wrap into a chair or?
I know I vividly remember him in there screaming still.
I'm not worried about that because you told me at least 3 other obstructions you did not charge. So I'll sort that one out later. Were you able to determine where the alcohol came from?
I know where it came from. I don't know how it was obtained. We have a supply closet that's locked in the laundry room, and we're the only ones that have access to the key, obviously. And there are alcohol wipes in there. If I remember correctly, all the hand sanitizer itself, the liquid hand sanitizer, had all been removed. But the hand sanitizing wipes were still in there. And by the time we had gone to the laundry room, which is where I initially went prior to going to talk to Mr. Davis and Mr. Allen, there were 2 of the hand sanitizer containers. One was on its side. There was no, usually there's an amount of the alcohol at the bottom of the wipes to keep the wipes moist. It was on its side, it was open, and the alcohol was gone from it.
I don't have any more questions. Thanks, Sergeant Mahon.
Cross.
Good morning, Deputy.
Go on, sir.
Or Sergeant. Okay, so this all occurred roughly at 2:30 a.m. Is that correct?
Approximately, yes, sir.
Okay. And just to clarify, does Mr. Davis share a pod with Mr. Allen?
He did at the time.
Okay, they're pod mates, but he's no longer inside of that same pod, correct?
No, sir, not anymore.
Okay.
They've both been removed from detail since then. That was where they were housed at the time.
Okay. Now, you testified that other deputies said that Mr. Davis appeared to be under the influence, correct?
Yes, sir.
And they saw some signs, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did they ever articulate exactly what those signs were?
They had been around him. He'd been on detail for quite some time, so they knew what normal and sober was. From what they said is that it was the things he was saying, it was how he was saying it, it was his mannerisms, his eyes were red. These were things that I didn't see. What I was told was that he appeared to be under the influence, and that's why I wanted to go talk to him to see if that was even the case.
Okay, and I'm going to go a little before ahead, but when you got into this altercation with Mr. Davis, were you able to smell any alcohol in his person or anything of that nature?
You could smell it in the room.
In the room, and specifically which room?
Med 12.
Med 12. Let me ask, other than this incident, have you had any other issues with Mr. Davis?
No, sir, not once.
Okay. Roughly how long has Mr. Davis been inside of your jail?
Months. I couldn't say an exact timeline.
Okay. And I'm sure after this incident, Mr. Davis' specific pod was searched. Is that fair to say? Or checked?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
Okay. Was anything found inside of that pod?
No, they wouldn't be able to get that to the pod.
Okay. So nothing was found inside?
No, sir.
Okay. And you testified that the clean supplies, they're locked in a clean supply closet. Is that correct?
Yes,
And inmates aren't supposed to have access to that closet.
that's correct.
Okay. But after this incident, and I want to make sure I was right on this, that you allegedly found hand sanitizer bottles in the laundry room? Is that what you testified?
The bottles, there was a previous incident. The bottles had been removed. The wipes were still stored in that closet.
Okay. The bottles removed, the wipes taken out.
That's correct.
Okay. And where did you find the actual bottle or bottles?
There were no bottles.
Okay. They were never located.
The hand sanitizer, like pump bottles,
Right.
not a part of the equation.
Right.
Hand sanitizing wipes.
Right. The wipes. But you're saying the wipes were taken out of the bottle or the container, correct?
It was open on its side. Some of the wipes were out of it, like it had been poured out.
Okay. And you're saying alcohol, juice, or whatever was not inside of them?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, you use a portable breathalyzer test, correct, on Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And you said you had to use 3 straws. Is that correct?
Approximately.
Okay. Any reason why the first 2 straws weren't working or having difficulties with those first 2?
Prior to doing it, I asked him if he'd be willing to provide me a sample. He said yes. Then I asked him, have you ever done this before? Honestly, I don't remember his answer this time. But the first 2 first blue spit into the straw, and it told me to pull the straw out and get a different straw.
Okay. So, have you used a portable breathalyzer test before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you have experience using these?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. Davis, when you bring him to the medical cell, he starts knocking on the cell, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did he give you any reason as to why he was knocking on the cell?
When I walked through the threshold of Med 11 to get to Med 12, there's a little, I guess you can call it like a foyer kind of thing. And he said something along the lines of, come on. And that could be taken in multiple different ways. I mean, it could have been like, hey, come here, talk to me. It could be, hey, come here, I want to, hit you. It could be anything. I took it as, hey, I want to talk, which is why I proceeded through Med 12.
Okay, so he says, come on, and you go inside the cell.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then that's when you tend to push him back to the bed. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct? And that's when he pushes you, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you said he was on top. So he pushes you, you start going towards the wall of the shower, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it's at that point you fall over?
I stepped to the side so I would not get pushed against the wall, and that's when we fell over.
Okay. And you testified he got on top of you at that point?
Once we hit the door, Med 12, we went backwards, and that's when I ended up on my back, and he was on top of me.
Okay. At that point, you testified that he was on top of you for about 30 or 45 seconds?
Approximately.
Okay. Were you trying to get off at that point, trying to get him off of you?
Yes, sir.
Were you making any, I think you said, you already testified to this, but just to clarify, were you making verbal commands for him to get off of you?
No, sir.
Okay. And you testified that he struck you with his fist?
No, sir.
Okay, you did not.
I struck him with my fist.
You struck him with your fist?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
3 times.
Okay, 3 times?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you never struck you with his fist?
No.
Okay.
That's so scary.
And that's the point where I believe Officer Bailey comes in to assist you getting Mr. Davis off of you.
Shortly later, that's correct.
Okay. And at that point, what is exactly Bailey doing? Just trying to pull him off, or?
By the time the Med 12 was open, Bailey was coming through. I had finally been able to shimmy myself mostly up from under him. I was about to be able to get up. And then Officer Bailey came in and grabbed him and stood him up to get him the rest of the way off of me.
Okay, so the time Bailey came to assist you, you were able to get out from under Mr. Davis?
Mostly, yes, sir.
Okay. And once Officer Bailey had Mr. Davis up, was he attempting to handcuff him at that point?
We were just trying to get him to where we could handcuff him.
Okay. So what does that exactly mean? So what were you trying to do at that point?
We were trying to get him turned around so we could place him in handcuffs, trying to get him to put his hands behind his back so we could put him in handcuffs, but he continued to pull away.
Okay, so trying to get him to face the wall.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at that point, it isn't until I believe Officer Blankenship comes in that you guys are successfully able to handcuff him, correct?
Officer Mullen is when he was finally, we were putting him in handcuffs when Officer Mullen was in there.
Okay. And Officer Mullen assisted you with putting a wrap on his person, correct?
Did not assist me. I did not put him in the wrap.
Assisted the
Yes,
other
sir.
deputies. Okay. So it was after you were able to get out from under Davis and get up, I'm assuming, is when you pulled a taser to attempt to subdue Mr. Davis. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. And you had the taser out and pointing at his person, correct?
that's correct.
And at that time, he attempted to take that from you, correct?
This was, I had drawn the taser. He kept pulling, so I did basically called press contact because he kept getting away. If I had fired my taser from a distance, there was a risk of it hitting Officer Bailey.
Okay, so you pressed it on his person, correct?
And then I attempted to try to follow up on his leg somewhere, but I just couldn't get there. And us turning around the room, I actually had the leads of the taser hitting me. And then we finally turned all the way around, and that's when he grabbed the taser.
Okay. And just to clarify, was he successfully able to take the taser from you?
He didn't get it from my hands, no, sir.
And that's when you threw it out the door, correct? Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
You correct?
No, sir. Can he be excused?
You may be excused.
Enjoy that critical task training, Sergeant. That wasn't bad.
No other evidence from state?
No, sir.
Okay. Any evidence from defense?
No, it is from the defense, Your Honor.
Waive, open, reserve, close.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Argument?
Okay. So far, it's been scary, and we got to see what it's like inside of a prison. Now that we're going to see how logical defense lawyers are.
I don't have it on 1173 miles. We don't have any evidence of that.
I mean, I agree with that. Other than that, Your Honor, I think
Yeah, I'll have to give Officer Blankenship later, Judge, but we don't have it here today.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Other than that, Your Honor, we're going to submit on everything but the possession of alcohol by inmates. Your Honor, and I have the statute in front of me, 42-413. Your Honor, although it gives a definition of alcohol beverage to mean including all alcohol, distilled spirits, beer, malt, beverage, wine, and fortified wine, I would say based off of the fact that although it says all alcohol, it then says distilled spirits, beer, malt, beverage, wine, and fortified wine. I believe the intent or the language in that particular definition is supposed to encompass things like actual fermented and distilled alcohol, such as wine, beer, liquor, those sorts of things. I think just merely allegedly drinking from a clean white container, even though I would say even that seems a little suspect, given that he testified they didn't have access to that closet whatsoever. So it remains to be seen how he got into it. I'd say notwithstanding that, I'd just say I don't think that in of itself, even on probable cause, meets the definition of what an alcohol beverage would be for 42.
So, you're not allowed to have alcohol in a prison unless it's alcohol. And then it's okay and it's not illegal because it's not distilled. But so alcohol is not okay, but alcohol is perfectly fine and not against the law.
413, given that, again, the legislature chose to qualify all alcohol and then distilled spirits, beer, malt, beverage, wine, and fortified wine. So it seems to me they're more thinking alcohol in the sense of actual alcohol you go to the store and buy for consumption. Probably thought more prohibition of inmates bringing alcohol into a cell or trying to, create, things such as toilet wine and that kind of nature, Judge.
What's the OCGA for again?
42-413, Your Honor, A1.
I don't think they can have anything that has up consuming the alcoholic beverage, including mouthwash. So I have a different opinion. He tested positive at 0.12 ppb. So I do agree. I remember that list. I don't think it's exhaustive. It's illustrative. Still, that's hardcore, Judge. Drinking or even sucking. I'm not accusing Mr. Davis of sucking hand wipes, although I've heard inmates in prisons getting caught from doing it. Here, he consumed an alcoholic beverage that got all I know, that got him to test positive in 0.12. So I think there's at least probable cause. Well, that's a good argument, though.
It is a good argument. I think that
It's not a good argument.
I kind of read the alcohol portion of that list a little bit more expansive than I think defense reads it. But I think that it's definitely something to look into. So at this time, I'm going to find probable cause on all of them except for 1173 for Blankenship. And I'll submit those or bind those over to Superior Court.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else on this one?
Not from the defense, Judge.
Look at him. He doesn't look, I don't know. I guess what are you supposed to look like? I just couldn't be a prison guard. I just couldn't. They're constantly trying to get you in any way, shape, or form. And by get you, I don't mean, be mean. I mean, physically hurt you. Oh, man. All right, guys. Thankfully, none of us are in prison. So we can just end our day knowing that, no one's going to throw us on the ground and attack us today, I hope. Have a great day, guys. I will see you next time. Bye.
Got these high fat clothes Shaw. In a way, there's no alarm. Dreaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle she lights the way. Her eyes hear a sky so blue. In her jokes there's a truth so true. With each dream she brings the light, turns dark days into bright. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom, eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle she lights the way. Kathy's laugh